everybody, and welcome to our edition of the Between Two Teachers here. And it's Friday 21st, and we are coming. My name is Consuelo Lara.
I'm Madeline Cronenberg.
And
that was Cooper.
Oh, that was Cooper. And we're coming to you from the sacred land of
the Chochenyo, Karkin, Ohlone Native peoples.
And we honor them, for sure. So thank you. We have a lot to talk about. We'll try to get through everything very quickly. We usually start with the national
national
issues.
News. And there's a couple of interesting things. The one I wanted to point out was there's a new bill in Florida, and it's called the Parents' Bill of Rights. And what it will do is allow parents to keep their children out of class if they disagree with anything that's being taught. And this is particularly things like evolution, any kind of sex education, and climate change.
Oh no.
These are the three things that are that this bill is targeting.
Could be objectionable.
Yeah, these
parents.
are the things that these parents need a Bill of Rights for. So I point this out to say, all right, this is actually moving forward. It just shows we are a very big country, and Florida has been a right-wing state for a long time. But boy, this is as far to the right. And the sad thing is, for them not to teach people about climate change, is they are on right there where the climate is coming in. Miami is sinking. The climate change is going to have a huge effect on Florida, just like every place else. But anyway, this bill is there. It's SB 1498 in Florida. He's found a squirrel. The other thing that's a national news is that teachers' unions have come out rethinking how schools handle lockdowns. And I don't know if you've done lockdowns.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right, and
Yeah.
I was in a lockdown when there was helicopters
Yeah.
going over us and all of that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yep.
But the percentage, the issue becomes whether or not there is real value in terrifying children, because now they have lockdowns. They have practices with shooters. Right, where people are playing shooters, and teachers are trying to are playing this whole game with the assumption so that we're preparing for somebody to come in and do an assault on the school.
Oh, jeez.
So the teachers' unions are now rethinking their position on all of that, and what would be a more effective way, and something that would be less traumatic for our kids. So that's a big piece of national news.
Okay.
And for the state, well, the most interesting thing I think that happened in the state was the State of the Union, or the State of the State, from Governor Newsom.
Mm-hmm.
And what was interesting, did you get to hear it?
Mm-mm.
Well, I was driving somewhere, so I heard the whole 45 minutes of it. And what was really interesting about it is that first of all, he didn't touch education at all, when education had been such a big topic for him. He did the whole thing on homelessness and housing, which underscored for me the issue that you can do in education, which is to build housing, like we've talked about that they did in Jefferson Union, that we could do here in West Contra Costa. And he did talk about the fact that he wanted public land to be available. He was talking about armories and any kind of public land that's not being used to be available and expedited to be available for housing. And he talked about tiny houses. He specifically said tiny houses.
Oh, wow.
So I'm hopeful. This is the first time I've ever heard somebody say, and there's no question, if that's your state of the state, and that's the only thing you talk about, you're going to have to do something.
Yeah.
Right? And he's doing a lot. He's addressing the mental health issues, and he's addressing many of the issues that have created the problem. And what has to happen is we need to build like 3.5 million houses. And you've got to find a way to get past the barriers for us doing that. And it will make a huge difference for school districts and for all of our families if we actually accomplish that. So so that's the big local news, or statewide news. But you have all the local news. So what's
yeah.
happening in West Contra Costa?
Well, just a thing about that housing,
Yeah.
we also are very interested in a particular area of the district that's unincorporated, that's a prime site for some housing like that, and that's the area of Valley View
Well,
area.
that's one possibility. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a number of
There's not a lot,
possibilities.
yeah, but
There's
anyway.
a number of possibilities,
So
so that
we got to keep that in
housing
mind.
needs to be brought back up onto. I mean, just he's saying it. There's funding for it. There's energy about it, and so for any municipality or public agency to not do it now, I think you should have to explain why you're not doing it.
We have to
at
be
this
active,
point.
proactive about that for sure. Because it could be revenue, which could help our
Absolutely.
deficit. So
Yes.
just a comment about the deficit. One of the things, everybody's trying to figure out all kinds of ways to, scrape the money from wherever they can. And one, I don't believe, not in all the meetings, is the area of our benefits, and possibly reevaluating and seeing if we're getting the best deal possible with our benefits. And we may be able to get the same things we have for less money. So I think that's something worth exploring.
Everything has to be renegotiated.
Yeah, renegotiated. So that's throwing that out there. And I think this is a real big issue right now, and that has been the renaming of Woodrow Wilson Elementary School to Michelle Obama Elementary School. And it is something it was such a happy moment to do that and celebrate that. The parents worked very hard. There were board members involved, so the process was very open and involved a lot of people. Not everybody was happy. We got a couple of hate emails about it. People know about that, but they were very unpleasant and triggered by, just renaming the school Michelle Obama.
Right.
And it's really a difficult thing to have to deal with that kind of hate, I guess. And it's very disturbing. The first thing that came to mind was, can you imagine when they first got elected and they were in the White House, how much, this was just about the naming of a school.
Oh, no
how
question
much
about
they
it.
personally,
Absolutely.
and they had little children.
Right.
Hate is
Right.
just, and this person in the White House really is giving the okay to these kind of threatening feelings.
No question about
it's
that.
okay to do all of this. So that's one group of people that have overreacted in the negative kind of way. And then we have people, I've always said that our cities love their schools. They love the history, the heritage that comes with it, and everybody. So you're affected if one of your schools that your grandmother or somebody went to school at, and they are going to change the name. So something does happen where it feels like, basically, like your past, your childhood possibly, is being erased. Because then you can't say, oh, we all went to Wilson, etc. And so this is not the first time it's happened. It's not going to be the last, I'm sure. But it's worth discussion about, I'm certainly going to bring it up more, because we need to make a statement about that. And I think more importantly, when those people go into that building, they still should be able to see that history of that, what that school was in the past.
There should be some kind of an acknowledgement that it was Woodrow Wilson Elementary School. And that acknowledgement isn't necessarily towards President Wilson, but it's for the alums who saw themselves as Wilson kids and still do. And that that happened. When we renamed Portola Korematsu, it was also not on the same site, and it took over another school that lost its name, Castro, which we never even talked about because that school just sort of disappeared. So that there are a number of schools, and then there's this whole other list of schools that have been closed in the district. There's Belding, and there's Del Mar, and the schools that were sold, Tassajara. There are many people who no longer have the school they grew up with, and it's a loss. It's a loss, and some people are not going to feel it at all. Some people are really going to feel it, and that I think is just it's just how your identity is connected, how you connect your identity. So.
And the demographics around the neighborhoods around those school changes. I mean, we evolve and we change and people migrate and there's different cultures. So, I mean, things like this are going to happen.
Right.
But,
but there's a story. There's a
there's
story
a story.
line.
There's a history
Right?
we cannot.
And that's the
ignore.
kind of thing that needs to be preserved somewhere or other,
Exactly.
one way or another.
Yeah.
And we can find ways to do that. We can find ways even on the part. One thing maybe we could do is put something on the district website that tells the history of our schools. There is this book. I have a copy of it.
Oh, yeah.
Called The Richmond Schools. And it was written by a lady named Helen Pence. And she was a teacher and I think a PTA leader and went back and went back to the very earliest days of Richmond.
Wow.
And they should, anyway.
Some kind of archive, right? What this reminds me of when we took our girls to Mills College, and they were all, you and Hanover went to Mills College, and so they wanted to go to the library. We went to the library, and they asked the lady behind the counter for where's the yearbooks? So we went to the yearbooks. They said, what year were you here? We pulled out the book and found us. So there is some place in Mills College that proves we were there. And so I could imagine something like that. These Wilson kids.
This is the interesting thing. These schools had yearbooks.
Oh.
There are class pictures. There's all sorts of.
Yeah.
Every school has that. You can go online and find that.
Well, the
I
middle
still have the
schools-
ones. Middle schools definitely have, but
They-
elementary schools have all the pictures.
Yes,
Somebody has all
that's
those
right.
pictures that were all taken.
Yes.
And,
Yes. It would be awesome to have a.
And I think particularly for the people who have the sense of feeling erased.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's an issue. When El Cerrito High was rebuilt, they started an archiving group, and it was started by the people who were so heartbroken that building was coming down.
Oh.
Even though that building
Well,
was unsafe and had to come down.
mess.
This was not even a remote choice. But they were heartbroken because they loved their experience
Sure.
at El Cerrito, and they would pass it, and that's why they started an organization. And they have a museum in El Cerrito that celebrates the history.
There you go.
So that's an example
There
of
you
what
go.
it doesn't have to be as elaborate as that one, perhaps, and the same thing is true at De Anza, and it's also true at Pinole. So the high schools do understand when you rebuild how to keep the history, but
There you
we
go.
have to do. I think we should do it for everybody.
I do too. I think it's a great idea. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We've done this before where we maintain and honor the past history of those kids, the alumni, like you said.
Right.
Perfect.
Right.
Okay. So let's go on to, mostly I have our shout outs. And also CTE. Let's talk about that for a moment. We're moving forward with that. For me, I see one of the big important things right now is the CTE career and technical pathways in our district to have a good relationship with Contra Costa College. Because my vision would be that every student who graduates, they have two papers. One is their diploma, and the other, if they choose, is a concurrent enrollment certificate where they can go out of some job training. So they can go out and get a job right away. Because not everybody's going to go to college, but everybody needs a job.
Yep.
Everybody. So I'm hoping, we are in talks with, we have somebody is from the college as part of our task force, and so that's something I hope to see in the future really strong,
I think we can do it,
Partnership.
and it's that's also there's a statewide money available for that now. We just need to be smart about making sure that we get our share of it, and that we know what we're going to do with it when we get it.
Yeah.
And so that's the key there. But we can do that, and I mean we still are looking for the Education Academy.
Yeah. Well, I've been told
I know.
it's moving. I'm not sure what, but yeah. I'm told that
That's
it's
it. And,
happening.
and there may be other academies. You know, I mean, there's the business academy.
Oh,
There's
the
all these.
business entrepreneur academy.
The problem is that there's the cloud of the cuts and the
Yes.
unresolved things around the deficit that sort of puts it keeps people from wanting to move forward on
Slows
anything.
things down quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
people
we
get
still
frozen.
keep those visions. We still keep those. Okay. Do you have anything else?
Measure R.
Okay.
Let's talk about Measure R. Last night, Measure R was endorsed by the Democratic Party of Contra Costa County. So it's received their endorsement. It's received the endorsement from the West County Dems. It's received Mr. Tony Thurman, our superintendent of public instruction. The state superintendent has endorsed it. Miss Buffy Wicks, our assembly member, Nancy Skinner, our state senate member, and I want to give shout outs to the members of the cities who have led the way to support it. And one of the big leaders is Rochelle Pardue Okamoto from El Cerrito, who is a big supporter, and so is Mayor Lyman.
Yes.
He's also a supporter in
Yes.
El Cerrito.
Very good.
And the entire city council of San Pablo has supported. And I'm not sure Richmond. We gotta.
Yeah, I'm not sure
We're not
either.
sure.
I haven't.
We're
Heard
not
too
sure.
much.
So, but what I did want to share, because I think this hasn't been brought up this year, is the way this goes is people are looking at, and this is a totally fair thing to do. I'm not trying to hijack anybody or make you think you're not going to pay. I pay this every year. And I pay it knowing that this is a wonderful thing to do, to contribute to the schools that the children who live here in the future are going to go to. Just like we celebrate the children of the native peoples who lived here long ago. This is reaching into the future of the children who will be here 100 years from now, or 50 years from now anyway. So we're not the only ones who pay, meaning that businesses pay. And in particular, there is a big payer, and the big payer is Chevron. Chevron will pay, as they do for the other taxes, just like we do, whatever your number is. For the last tax, we're just going to double that. Just know it. That's what it is. But Chevron pays, and I have their bill here. Everybody can get it. All of your property tax bills are, in fact, publicly available. So if you think it's a secret, it's not. You can find the property tax bill for any property that you know the address for. And the Chevron property is listed at, you want to find it online. What's the address? Well, I'll post this. I'll post it on the YouTube. Anyway, they pay overall $214,421.46 every year in property tax. And this is for the refinery. And the bill that they will pay for Measure R will be $14,305.69, probably. I think it's going to be exactly what the last one was, because the bonds are pretty much the same. So that's one of the reasons the bonds are set up the way they are. It's got to do with the size and assessed valuation of your property, right? And so I want people to know that this is other money, just like the Prop 13 money is on the table, the Chevron money is on the table as well. And these are all, and Chevron in the past has never opposed one of our bonds, because in the end this is chump change to them. Let's just be let's be honest.
Absolutely.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it's there, and it is part of it is they are the major participant in the annual payment. So that's, I don't want to make believe that they're not, because they are, and they haven't spent a lot of money opposing it. And I think that's because they understand the value of the buildings, of having the children in the neighborhood of their workers. Many of their workers live in the district, even though it's not where their corporate offices are. But they understand that it's worth building.
Seems to me they should pay more than that, actually. A lot of our students grow up, become adults, and live and work over there. I know some people that went to school here and they work at Chevron now.
Right.
So they are getting their workforce from people that go through our schools. So they could, put
Well,
in.
they can't pay more in taxes unless we change the tax. The one thing that will happen,
yeah.
that will
Then it would
happen with
bring up-
the schools and communities first.
Exactly. There you go.
But
There's
we don't want to confuse people.
No,
I'm not
we'll
ready
talk
to
about
talk
that
about
later.
that yet.
Yeah.
So the opportunity for that to happen. But right now, for this particular,
Yeah.
for what we're talking about right here,
Yeah.
this is what we're talking about.
Yep.
$14,000, right?
Yep.
And it that's what we know it will be if it gets passed. So I'm
Yeah.
hopeful that it will. We've got only one more week to talk about it,
know.
and then we'll know the answer because
We'll know.
March 3 will have come and gone.
Hard to predict. We don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we ready for our shout outs?
We're ready for the shout outs.
Okay, I want to give a shout out to Mr. Moore, Cameron Moore, who came to the Concilio Latino, and he did a CBOC presentation all about the committee and what it's about, and offered recruiting from the group there, and there was some interest from parents that were there, and so yeah, it was really very thorough, very detailed. And it explained, exactly what it does. So I just have to shout out to him. Thank you so much. Oh, and Leslie Reckler was also there. Thank you, Leslie, for your presentation on PTA. And then my last shout out is to James Aguilar, a good friend who is on the school board of San Leandro Unified School District, and he is the youngest elected official in the whole state, in the whole Bay Area, at the age of 20. He actually went from being the high school representative on the board to an elected board member. So I think he may have been appointed, but he's going to run, and then, so he's up and coming. Remember that name, James Aguilar. Yes.
And who
so-
watches, right? So
Yes.
we'll say hi, James.
Hi, James. See you later.
Yes.
We're going to meet up. I think that's it.
Now you've got a joke.
Oh, I do have a joke. I have to tell this joke. So, what is red and green and goes 100 miles an hour?
I don't know.
A frog in a blender. I love
Froggy
telling
jokes.
that to my little
Froggy
kids.
jokes.
And they go,
Okay.
ew, Miss Laura, that's
Miss-
gross.
Yeah. Oh,
I
Miss
love it.
Laura.
Miss Laura.
Oh.
Really?
All right.
Bye.
See you next week.